Now, let's talk about real stuff. Jon Stewart, of course, the former legendary host of The Daily Show, got a show over on Apple TV. Okay. But he is doing promotion for it at the moment. And very famously, about 20 years ago, he went on to CNN and ripped CNN and cable news and all the rest of it about its business model, about what it does. He did a new version of it about the types of things that take up way too much time on TV all day, every day.
And so everybody wants to talk about, like that question you said about gender neutral, I can't remember what you said, gender neutral
sections in toy stores. It's a law that the governor just passed and signed into law.
But honestly, like that law, like who gives like it's, do you know what I mean? Like in terms of the importance of the running of California, yeah, it's a law. Who's it really going to impact? And I think the media does a terrible job at de-escalation.
Yeah.
And de-escalation is the antidote to all this nonsense.
Now, again, super lefty comedian, all the rest of it. But what do you think about that, Caroline? About the role that the media, and yes, that occasionally will mean you and I, but the types of things that we talk about, that we focus on, that we fight about?
Look, I mean, obviously the media has got a role to play in informing people, but it also is, it's a two-way street. Unless you're the ABC, which doesn't depend on people clicking on your links or watching your programs for ratings, you depend on people actually wanting to engage with your content. And the fact is that some of those stories that are platformed by various media are the ones that are going to get people fired up. So whether it's things like this crazy gender-neutral toy law in the US, well, the media know that if they put that sort of stuff up, for example, on their websites or social media pages, there's going to be a lot of comments on it and people are going to get fired up. It's an easy kind of topic for people to engage with. So I think if people weren't interested in it, the media wouldn't cover it. It's just that they are. So I don't necessarily think that it's just a media being evil and dictating what people are talking about. These are issues that people do want to speak about. But I do think there is a bit of a BuzzFeedification issue in the media where things are getting too clickbaity. You know, instead of telling people what some of the issues are that are really going to impact their lives, websites are prioritizing putting the main stories on their homepage is going to be like a story about Lisa Wilkinson's new book, because they're going to get like hate reads out of it and hate clicks out of it. I think that can be an issue too, but again, it just comes down to the audience should be free to be able to choose what they want to read and engage with.
Yeah, I kind of think even sort of less than the BuzzFeedification, there's the Redditification of the news. Now, Reddit is, of course, a kind of somewhere between a news service, a bulletin board, and a social media site where people can vote to bring things to the top. And that often is the case, Sam, where we know that, controversy always creates cash, and arguing about stuff is always more interesting and exciting than sort of having a deliberate and boring policy discussion, because there is an element of showbiz about all of that. I'm not going to pretend that's the case. But also I do think, not to prove his point, but the thing about like the gender neutral toy aisle, it's not that people care about it more than anything else. It's just that it's the latest straw being added to the camel's back. And That's what people blow up about.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a study a little while ago that said anger as an emotion moves 8 times faster through the internet than any other emotion.
Yep.
So if you can elicit a response, as Carolyn was saying, if you can make people angry, they will share that 8 times faster and 8 times more prolifically, and it'll get an audience. It'll get watched, and if it bleeds, it leads. What's problematic about that is the sort of behaviour that it engenders. It makes our politicians say increasingly crazy things and gives space to increasingly fringe views on both fringes, not just the left but the right as well. It's a vicious sort of a cycle that keeps perpetrating. The end result is that we get angry all the time. I wish people would just chill out and scroll on and move by. They don't have to have a reaction to every post, and if that thing's not your particular issue, move on. But That's not what we do. That's not how human nature is.